Today we learned when one achieves calm abiding, there is most definitely physical and mental pliancy. If it isn't there and definite to the practitioner that it's there, then calm abiding has not been achieved. So welcome everyone. This is Khensur Geshe Wandak. He's the retired abbot of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's monastery in Namgyal. Holds the degree of Geshe Lharampa, which is the highest degree you can obtain in the Tibetan Buddhist Gelug tradition. And Rinpoche is recognized by all the world's greatest scholars as one of the greatest living scholars in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So we're so fortunate to have Rinpoche here with us. To ever receive a teaching from Rinpoche as a Tibetan Buddhist is really kind of rare, considered rare, and we just are fortunate that Rinpoche retired here. So my name's Jeff. I'm the translator. Rinpoche is currently teaching Lama Tsongkhapa's great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. It's considered probably the most important text written in Tibet, and it summarizes all of Buddha's teachings that were ever given and puts them into a format so they're palatable and so that they can be practiced stage by stage in a proper order without having to try to figure out what's first, what's second. Lama Tsongkhapa put it together in this book following Atisha's kind of framework from the Indian Panditishas of the Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, and created this text called the Great Treatise on the Stage of the Path to Enlightenment. In English, it's in 3 books. In Tibetan, it's 1 big book. But we're in the 3rd volume now. So if everybody wants to turn to page 82, that's where we are. And I just wanted to give a quick introduction also for those who are new to who Rinpoche is, and just remind everybody as we come here every week of who Rinpoche is, because it's easy to forget when we just come here and it becomes like normal every week things, to forget that there's people who pray every day to be able to meet with a teacher once like this, and I just don't ever want to take it for granted. So page 62, in the bottom it says, in short, my eyes have seen better days. 82, at the bottom it says, in short, due to the unserviceability of the body and the mind. So that's where Rinpoche is going to start when he starts. So that's the intro. Thank you very much for coming. At the end of class, we do concluding prayers, and they're basically the prayers that are in the book that just follow right to the end, and we'll do them all in English. There's no Tibetan at the end. We just read them in English. Concluding mandala offering, dedication prayer, Samanta Bhadra dedication prayer, long life for Rinpoche, and then a long life for Dalai Lama and Rinpoche, rather, that other order. So that'll be the order of events, and thank you for coming. Okay, Diksong Rinpoche. Ngundru laso.
Ta lang re so te chebe shungu lang, ding lang, chebe chembe lang. So des.
Less so.
Ta chebe shungu lang se na ma ge chebe su na jiang zhuo. O de so kan lo chebe shungu lang, den zhui lang res.
Less so.
Den de la ba so ta bei lang. Den de shang zhu ge san de yin xian ba de xin zhu chebe chembe lang. O de ne ba de.
Less so. So if we were to summarize all of Lord Buddha's teachings, we would be able to do so by putting them into 3 categories. I might need a pen, just as an aside. We can do so, thank you, by putting them into 3 categories. These categories, just as a translator's note, were actually made in that text I just mentioned, the Lamp for the Path to Enlightenment, that Lama Tsongkhapa used kind of as a basis to write this very expansive text. So that's where the kind of origin of these, this putting it in an order comes from. The teachings are right from Buddha, but they just kind of put them in an order. So we divide them into these 3 categories. They're called the teachings for beings of 3 capacities. So the first capacity are for beings who wish to achieve rebirth in the higher realms of cyclic existence. So these are called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity. And this practitioner goes for refuge to the 3 jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and engages in a lifestyle that abandons the 10 non-virtuous activities. And by relying upon these practices and these ideals, one is able to achieve a higher realm rebirth. And these are called the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity capacity. The next set of teachings are called the teachings shared in common with beings of medium capacity, for beings who wish to achieve their own individual liberation. And this practitioner engages in the practice of the three highest higher trainings. Highest higher training in ethics, highest higher training in concentration, and the highest higher training in wisdom. And in dependence upon these practices, he or she is able to achieve their own individual nirvana. Then the final set of teachings are called the teachings for beings of great capacity, and these are teachings and pathways which lead to complete Buddhahood. And these practices are all the ones just mentioned, then combined with the generation of what is called the mind that aspires to enlightenment, or bodhicitta, and then from that generation of that mind engaging in the practice of the six perfections. So the bodhisattva, one becomes a bodhisattva and then practices the six perfections in combination with all of the small and medium capacity teachings. So as a note, they're called shared in common with because all the small and medium scope are required for the great scope. The small scope is required for the medium scope. So we call them shared in common because they're indispensable and need to be practiced, the lowest teaching at simultaneously with the highest teaching in order for the highest teaching to work. So just as a translator's note. So this is how we divide the teachings into three different categories in dependence upon looking at three results: a result of higher realm rebirth, a result of an individual liberation, a result of complete Buddhahood. And then the practices are the teachings shared in common with beings of small capacity that lead to the higher realms, medium capacity that lead to liberation, and then great capacity that lead to Buddhahood. Digson. Duna. Xinjiang.
Duna Xinjiang Duna. Nyumo la tsuban de jang soren de jang le la rang ki le ne rang ki shebala watar ne tsunang ki juba kayu le sen le so moron lo ne le sen shindu ko dewa da deba juro tetabi le dan sen le so ron yon so zuba te ha tingen zin tola manye ne cha chamo re jong yu te chidar chichir son ale tar shin do jamba dan te jibi shine sun jola yang tambo cha yu riga jin shine ne riba lawan jong de nyesa le te tambo konara yang tabi yuwa la zu yu tse sen shin du jamba dan le shin du jamba de sen la sen dan le zu rongwa dan jongwa ne chawa te taba kawa ino she dan te sen tse jiba yin dan sen dan le sen shin du jamba teni ngaba pewa na ndata te juji ne jidu jude lembi juji rajin tabara layu sensi jiba nidang sensi jiba le shin tu jamba naba sheba te she sonso tseni de yonsu dujin taba layu shenyang de jewa jeyu hati ne tengan zi gomba la zunbi kanza ti leba mabomba tang yang shebe jede mada yu jewa mayi no te jema tatu nyumu pongwa la ga yu pachi shebe senji nengan le tang trewan joshin ti nyebo senshin to jamba mala jede nyesa le chetana ti rajin taba layu senji ba nidang sen dan le sen shin to jamba rembo mutuba 제와 제 나대서 대 레바 제와 나와 저대 대안내비 세만이 많이노 대제만 다도 봉화라 가유 바체시바 녀모바 나지 수수줘봐 생지 내년에 가이마 대봉화 조신 대 내부 생레소 롱화당 생신도 정바야 저완조로 세송소 대내 생레소로 신도 정바데 제마 제비 톨라데네 르신도 정바 제비 주비 롱라 조완조로 롱데 르지 차실 하차비 차버 주바나 르지 내가래 당 제완 주신 르지 내가래지 냐부 신도 정바 제데 대야 르신장 지네 레소로 롱기 토임바 신도 나와 요데 녀살레 대제비 르 신도 정바 제와당 전바린 종유 첸모 롱다 르라 조안조데 대다 주드나 봉화라 가유 바주시바 녀모비 수수 저바 르제 내가래 가예바 대다 저완 주신 디녀보 르신도 정바 르탄제 또 제데 강화신도 상완조로 세송소호스 어디봐 제주나
Okay. Not true what you're Rinpoche.
야
Then they long. That's Google the Mepachig. There you're right. Then Yensale. Ngapcha. Jipju. Jichi. Bless you. Bless you. Jipju. That's cool. I just have a question. I just need to clarify it in English. I think everyone will have it. So just one moment here. Rinpoche, nyensa le jitsam na dei rashing dapa lawe sem se chikpa
니다
nidan sendan lu shin. Dit sama zuru nang gangisne de barche de lemba nang jigut sapo. The ngatsu tsem dang jigu tsapo the she the barche geche she the lu dan sen shijang the nyepo gare the that's sama selpo
르신장의 레자인스 레자
okay
르르게스의 롱 딩에도 고는 어때 르르게스의 롱사바지 생고서
okay
어디 롱들 르신장을 그래
lesso
세신장 다시 해봐라
lesso then they got it they
인사래 지상 생라시 따벌 하유 생지집은이도 생지
sen jigu tsapo dang drapo doe
생 르르던 생 르생신도 정바 rinpo mo toba jewa yu nga deso di leba jewa
de
nawa anjo des leba sa nga sundo leba sa marba
tata
wada jugu sabana jen nawa chago yaris
then they lu da sen shijangi da
taris ta
ale then they jun yomare they lemba then jigut sapo they jun yomare they da
taris ta
ale okay gangin sene the NGK the le labo trudu gangin sene the NGK chik shena the lemba jigut sapo then jun then yepo the lu dan sen shijang okay ngait samazu okay I just had a question about the way that the English was written, and everyone might read it the way that it's supposed to be, and I'm wrong. And it just seems like it's written in a confusing way. So I'll just, when I get to it, explain what Rinpoche and I just talked about. Okay, so 82. In short, due to the unserviceability of the body and mind, even when you want to strive to eliminate afflictions, you do so arduously and with taste, like someone unable to engage in work. When pliancy is achieved, this tendency stops, and your body and mind become very easy to employ. Such complete physical and mental serviceability arises to a slight degree from the time you start to cultivate concentration. This gradually increases until it finally turns into pliancy and one-pointed meditative serenity. At first, this is difficult to recognize due to its subtlety, but later on it becomes easy to recognize. Asanga Shravaka level states, at the very beginning, when you begin the correct training, the occurrence of mental and physical pliancy and mental and physical serviceability is subtle and difficult to discern. And as that one-pointed mind and mental and physical pliancy increase in the manner of a chain reaction, they lead to a one-pointed mind and a mental and physical pliancy that are obvious and easy to discern. So initially it's very subtle, and you aren't necessarily even sure if you have it. And then once you truly have this serviceability and pliancy, you know for sure that you have this serviceability and pliancy. It's not a question that needs to be asked. The portent of the occurrence of easily discernible perfected pliancy is this. Persons who are striving to cultivate concentration experience a sense of heaviness and numbness of the brain, but it is not an unpleasant heaviness. As soon as this occurs, they are freed of the mental dysfunction that obstructs their delight in eliminating afflictions, and mental pliancy, which is the remedy for this dysfunction, arises for the first time. So this is where I had the question, was about this heaviness of the brain. Is this what then is eliminated, or is this heaviness of the brain a sign that this pliancy has occurred? And it's a sign that it's occurred, that this, here, the portent of the proximate occurrence of obvious, easily discernible one-pointedness of mind and mental and physical pliancy is a sensation of the brain becoming heavy, but this is not a harmful characteristic. So this isn't, sometimes they speak of heaviness of the mind, and it's an obstruction. But in this case, this particular one is a sign that there's been this occurrence of easily discernible one-pointedness of mind and mental physical pliancy, because this happens. There's this sensation of the brain becoming heavy, but it's not a harmful characteristic. As soon as this happens, you eliminate the mental dysfunction that belongs to the category of afflictions and that obstructs your delight in eliminating afflictions, and the mental serviceability and mental pliancy, which are the remedy for this dysfunction, arise. So it's a sign of the arisal of this. So just to clarify, that's just how it reads. But sometimes when I'm translating and just reading the English simultaneously, it seems like it might be confusing. So that's what that should read as, that this sensation of the brain becoming heavy is a sign that the mental serviceability and mental pliancy, which are the remedy for the dysfunction, has arisen. So, then, due to the power of the arising of pliancy that makes your mind serviceable, an energy that is a cause for physical pliancy courses through the body. So what Rinpoche said is that physical pliancy is reja, which is tactile sensation, and mental pliancy is mental, is mind. So these two things are even though they're connected and they're concomitant, if you will, they are not inclusive. They actually, if you look at a feeling versus mind, they're two separate, mutually exclusive things. So these are just two things that occur, but not as one, just two things that occur and are concomitants, or help each other, if you will, or occur simultaneously, because the same thing that hinders the pliancy of both is removed. So this, then due to the power of, I think I read this already, but I'm going to read it again if I didn't. Then due to the power of the arising of the pliancy that makes your mind serviceable, an energy that is a cause for physical pliancy courses through your body. Once this energy has pervasively coursed through the parts of your body, you are freed of mental dysfunction, and physical pliancy, which is the remedy for physical dysfunction, arises. Once this saturates the entire body, there is an experience of being as if filled with the power of serviceable energy. The Shravaka level states, due to its pliancy's occurrence, energy wind, included among the great elements that is conducive to the arising of physical pliancy, courses through the body. When it flows, you are freed of the physical dysfunction that belongs to the category of afflictions and obstructs your delight in eliminating afflictions. And physical pliancy, the remedy for this affliction, saturates the entire body so that it seems as if you are filled with this energy. Now, physical pliancy is a very pleasant sensation within the body, not a mental process. So this is what Rinpoche was clarifying. As the master Srimati states, citing sutra, if a distinctive physical sensation is qualified by delight, recognize this is to be physical pliancy. If your mind is delighted, your body becomes pliant. So here they're connected, but not as one. Thus, when physical pliancy initially occurs due to the power of energy, there arises a great sense of well-being in your body, and on this basis, there also arises in your mind a most exceptional experience of that pleasure. Thereafter, the force of this initial occurrence of pliancy gradually subsides, but this is not a case of pliancy becoming exhausted. Rather, this pliancy is a coarse and excessively agitates your mind, so with its disappearance there occurs a pliancy tenuous like a shadow that is compatible with steady concentration. Once the rapturous delight of your mind has disappeared, your mind stabilizes firmly upon the object of meditation, and you achieve meditative serenity, which is free of the turbulence caused by great delight. So you're trying to, even though this is occurring, you're trying to bring it back down to a place of single-pointedness, which isn't distracted by delight or joy, which is just singly pointed. The Shravaka level states, when this first arises, you experience delight, a great sense of bliss, attention to unsurpassed delight and manifest delight. Following this, the force of pliancy that first arose slowly becomes very refined, and your body becomes endowed with shadow-like pliancy. You eliminate delight. Your mind becomes stabilized with meditative serenity, and you focus on the object of meditation with exceptional serenity. Once such things happen, you are said to have attention. You achieve serenity, and you are included among the ranks of those who have achieved attention. For by achieving serenity, which is included in the access to the first stabilization, you achieve the smallest type of attention on the level of meditative equipoise. This accords with the statement in the Shravaka levels. 1 second, let me see where we got to. Let's see. In short, Rinpoche, Chukabakasa. Tama.
Dona Xinjiang Dona Nyamong la Zuan de Jans.
Jibja. Oh, niche.
Ngaja Jijo.
Ni.
Ngaja Jijo Jigi de Bando.
Abja Jibja. Oh, this Gutso song. This Natsu Gutso song. Tamagare.
Tama Dona Xinjiang Dona.
Yomar, tearing chiran the Gutso song.
Tena Dena Meba Toba Meba Jube Tisher San Lesurong Shesha was Shesund.
Which page did we start on? I'm just clarifying.
82.
82, in short. Right.
82 in short.
Okay, so, that's right. All right. I'm just trying to find out where Rinpoche stopped. Just give me one moment. I apologize. reading 340. That's 540. 540. Then we went to 541. Shesung So. I think that's where we. Charan did lip song. Charan tearing did gutso song.
Yeah.
Tearing this. Tearing did lo. Yo mare, they're tearing did lo song. They sarpa they're tearing the. Dene they tama they ngate sampa they le song. Shesung did ngate sampa. Gangen suna the tearing shugu kashe lo sar. Then tearing the jipju the ngapja jipju gutso song. Then the chu shugu kashe lo song. Then ngate sampa the Srimata long loma song she song so. Chiran de losar de jipju de ngapja jipju chiran de tearing the gutso tearing the natsu gutso song. Then chiran shugu kashe lo song. Then ngate sampa de le song.
Yeah.
I wish I could look at the tape. It's okay. We might have to just go over something twice, but it's okay. Okay, decent.
Less so.
Less so. Less so. Less so. Gangi Center Rinpoche, the Sam Jigut Sapo, the Ngatsu Tsar, the Lo Tsar. Okay, Digsung. The Gutso Digsung.
Le Xinjiang Tomar Chebitse Longi Tu Le La Di Nyan Chebi Cheba La Tene Saint Layan Ne Gayu Di Nyan Pedo Shua Yuan Joro Di Jesu Saint Xinjiang Tomar Chebi Shu Rinji Chondun Rode Chongon Rode Deya Xinjiang Sene Roa Meiji Rabat De Saint Hajang Yuwa De Lo Ne Tribatar Sabi Shinto Jamba Muyuwa Tengen Zidang Tunba Yuwa Yino Shi Gaya Deyang Gawate Yewa Deyang Lo Ne Tene Saint Mebala Temba Neshin Gawa Chenpo Jubi Majiwa Tang Treyu Shine Toba Yide Nisale Tambo Te Chiba Juba Titse Na Saint Gawa Tang Shintu Jamba Nyang Dewa Tang Saint Chudu Gawa Tang Deba Meba Ngobar Gawa Tang Cheba Yang Thangren Joro Ti Wudu Shintu Jamba Shu Tambo Cheba Ganyeba Ti Keji Shintu Chawan Jushin Lula Shintu Jamba Cheba Tabo Tang Deba Joro Saint Gawa Ganyeba Teyang Pungwan Jushin Saint Shineji Nyawara Tembar Rodu Sheyu Nabe Mebala Joba Joro Shesong Soho Tatabu Ne Shine Toba Wang Hila Shedan Geshe Sha Shesong Batar Hila Sheba Tobi Jesu Dani Chuban Jode Sante Tomi Nyeduji Dubi Ne Tobi Nyada Jabi Nyaba Sabi Yiji Chungu Tobi Sharo Tataya Nyasale, Ti Wudu Nanju Ba Le Tombo Wa, Ti Hila Sheba Tang, Jeba Yinte, Hila Sheba Tang Jeba Shesha Yu Tresun Ro, Chi Shera Shena, Te Tombo, Zodin Shubi, Nyamba Jabi, Sabi Hila Sheba, Chungo Tubi Shete, Tena Hila Sheba Tang, Jeba Shesha Wu, She Sonso, Nyamba Jabi Sana, Nyamba Jabi Sana, Kang Komani Ji, Saye Megi Naraso, Nyamba Hila Sheba Tang, Deme Tana, Kanta Tena, Yeji Tuba Wu, She Rata, Yenji Riba Shayu, Tata Tsamana, Tatabu Tu De, Zuji Sang, Zuji Se Dube, Saint-Dan Le Dan, Saint-Shintu Jamba, Saint-Zijiba Jibo, Chungutuba Dan Shiraji, Naba Jiji Deyu, Naba Jenji Leji, Nyomuba, Naba Jongwa, Nubatan Deba Njowa Dan, Nadu, Naba Jaba Na, Nyowa, Le Shishan Jiwa Njowa Dan, Dubala Subi, Driba Pechi Manjowa Dan, Nyaja Labitse, Le Shishan Garadan Demba, Na Yino, Tena Nyasa Le Tombo Hila Sheba Dan Chibi, Di Tanen Dada Hide, De Shinto, Jamba Chongo Joba Dan Le, Shinto Jamba, Shinto, Jamba Dan, Zijiba Chongo Toba, Yomoba Naba Jobe Meba, Yu Kewa Yueji Neba Dan, Di Senji, Jambaran Joa Dan, Sheneji, Yawateba de Shedan, Di Nadoyan, Juba De, Saint-Toba Sheba Na, Nyoa, Saint Shinto Jamba, Joa Dan, Le Dan Nengele Shinto Neba, Munju Driba Dan, Sheche Kunto Munjoa Dan Sheba Dan, Landa Joa Na, Le Dan, Saint Shinto Jamba, Kaji Dan Deba Joa Na, Tatabi Tumba Tadane, Hila Sheba Dan Chebi, Da Dan Tsema, Yonsu Jangwa, Da Yimba Riba Shao, She Sonso, Deba Jejuna.
Okay. 5. Ngapja, Jipju, Jipje. Okay. So I know that I read some of this, but I'm just going to reread just a small part. Give me one moment here. Thus, when physical, I'm just going to read from 84, thus when physical pliancy, and then just read to basically almost the end of 85. Thus, when physical pliancy initially occurs due to the power of energy, I know I read through this, but we did it twice, there arises a great sense of well-being in your body, and on this basis there also arises in your mind a most exceptional experience of that pleasure. Thereafter, the force of this initial occurrence of pliancy gradually subsides, but this is not a case of pliancy becoming exhausted. Rather, this pliancy is coarse and excessively agitates your mind. So with its disappearance, there occurs a pliancy tenuous like a shadow that is compatible with a steady concentration. Once the rapturous delight of your mind has disappeared, your mind stabilizes firmly upon the object of meditation, and you achieve meditative serenity, which is free of the turbulence caused by great delight. The Shrivaka level states, when the first arises, you experience delight, a great sense of bliss, attention to unsurpassed delight, and manifest delight. Following this, the force of pliancy that first arose slowly becomes very refined, and your body becomes endowed with shadow-like pliancy. You eliminate delight. Your mind becomes stabilized with meditative serenity, and you focus on the object of meditation with exceptional serenity. Once such things happen, you are said to have attention. You achieve serenity, and you are included among the ranks of those who achieved attention. For by achieving serenity, which is included in the access to the first stabilization, you achieve the smallest type of attention on the level of meditative equipoise. This accords with the statement in the Shrivaka levels. Thereafter, the novice yogi is endowed with attention and is included in the ranks of those who are called attentive. Why? Because this person has achieved the small type of attention on the level of meditative equipoise that first experiences the form realm. Therefore, this person is called attentive. The mind of meditative equipoise is a synonym for the level of the two higher realms, the form and formless realms. The marks associated with attention and the elimination of qualms. There are the marks and signs to be known by yourself and others as the criteria for having achieved attention. So all of these signs that have shown that one has achieved attention, already mentioned, have to be combined with this other sign so that you know these other signs. So first it says the achievement is... All right. You who have achieved such attention have these marks. The achievement in small measure of these four. Your mind belongs to the level of form, physical pliancy, mental pliancy, and one-pointedness of mind. The ability to purify afflictions either by means of the path bearing the aspects of calmness and coarseness, or the path bearing the aspects of the truths. 3. Once your mind is established inwardly, meditative equipoise and physical and mental pliancy arise ever so swiftly. 4. For the most part, the 5 obstructions, such as sensual desire, do not occur. 5. When you rise from meditative equipoise, you still possess physical and mental pliancy to some extent. So it doesn't just go away. The Shrivaka level says, these are the marks of a novice who is endowed with intention. You achieve the small degree of a mind that experiences the form realm, physical pliancy, mental pliancy, and a small degree of one-pointedness of mind. You have the opportunity and ability to practice with objects of meditation that purify afflictions. Your mind stream becomes smooth, and you are enveloped by meditative serenity. So here, these are the stages to calm abiding. For 544, when your mind is perfectly drawn inward, settled, and focused, mental and physical pliancy occur ever so swiftly. You are not afflicted by physical dysfunction, and for the most part, the obstructions do not operate. Even when you arise from meditation and move about, you still have a certain degree of physical and mental pliancy. Recognize such experience to be purified characteristics and signs of possessing attention. Hold on a sec. After I put the marker here. It's not a digs.
Tata Nisale, Cheta, the Ludon, Shin to Jamba, Naba Pure.
That's from Chichukaba. Zugo. No.
Tata Nisale, Cheta.
It's not a churn. The data lesson. 544. That's all right.
Yeah.
The churn trio down Lenja down Tiring.
Yeah, okay.
Churn San Logari.
Okay.
Tanda trio down Lenja.
Okay.
Chishena Yabudue.
Yeah.
Churn San Logari.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to do question and answer, period, just because I think that's what we're going to do today. So we'll have a lot of time for people to, because there's a lot of like really complex material in here, and that way we can just kind of if people have questions as we go over some of this difficult stuff. So the Jipjang, here. 年萨tsar Shesumbatang. Okay, all right. So anybody have questions? Sorry for the format change. Okay, sure.
I'm not quite sure if you could explain a little more about what pliancy means in
Sure.
this situation. And the second point, I just will throw this one in too. So since this is the third book and it's addressed to beings that are trying to become Buddhas, is this talking about a regular human or sentient being body that they have this compliancy in, or is it another body form?
Okay, great questions. Triwa ni lu dan sen shijang. The ditslaran the shijang the gare the sem gare yongdu. Sem shijang yana gare.
띵한지 고네. 띵한지 가로 야버레소나. 나 주부가 나로 롱사바지 레고레스.
Okay.
어떤 르신장 라그레스. 르신장 드리자 인세리자.
Then the yuna gare. The reja gare Rinpoche. Kongi triwa.
롱레스 롱.
The the dewa chembo gare the long.
어, 롱.
the gatsu lo.
롱사바지 레고도 나 르양보. 르 제구 타보면
the laronan the triwa. Okay, then the jigutsapu yomare. Then the long le labudu. Pardro marjo le labudu. The leka gariena le gariena sanlo le labudu. Lenja digsoe. Then sensi shejang gare.
senshiyang da yichi wajiro.
Lesso. Then it got it. The Lesso. Then the Sam Gariena Le Labudu. Sanlo Gariena. Then a Rinpoche. The Sanlo Gariena. The Tingenzi. Dan Tugudue. The Sanlo Gariena. The Mikpa. The Tingenzi. Dan Tugudue. The Ludan Sen Shijang Yuna.
Yeah.
The Ludan Sen Shijang Yuna. The Tingenzi Yubi Cha.
Tingenzi Tembo Yudu. Tembo.
Yu Cha.
Tingenzi Danga Sula Yuar. Tingenzi Tembo Yumaro. Tingenzi Tembo the Toyundu. Lu Shijang Dang. Sen Shijang to Lingwater.
Ale. Then a Ludan Sen Shijang you can. The Tingenzi Ma you can Yomare. Kanga Tingenzi Yure. Okay. All right. So when you have mental and physical pliancy are necessarily a sign that single-pointed concentration, calm abiding has occurred. So there are forms of concentrations that occur before that that don't include this mental and physical pliancy, and that's how you know you haven't completed the single-pointed concentration, haven't fully arrived at calm abiding, because you don't have this. So what is this? So a mental and pliancy is specific to consciousness or to the mind. It isn't associated with form or with anything else. It's specific to the mind. And what it means is that the mind becomes very easy to work with, very serviceable. Wherever you wish to direct it, it goes. Whatever you want to think about, you think about. You don't have the distractions and the forced kind of errors of thinking, improper mental conduct that would happen normally, because you are able to really just kind of move your mind the way that you wish. Not saying that you're affliction-free, but your ability to, once, say, an affliction arises, to handle it becomes much stronger because you have this serviceability of the mind. So your mind is very, very pliant. So that's what the pliancy means. It's very serviceable. It's bendable. Now, so this occurs when the winds change, and the winds change within your body when this single-pointed concentration occurs. It's a reaction to single-pointed concentration for some reason. This mental and physical pliancy occurs when that occurs in its most stable form. And when the physical pliancy occurs, when these winds have changed, and the mental pliancy occurs, which allows the mind to go whichever way one wants it to, the mental pliancy means that your body becomes this very light-feeling thing. It no longer has any heaviness. You can get up very quickly. You can go here, go there. You can sit for long periods of time without any kind of pain. So the physical pliancy is really just a ability to really physically do whatever you want without any obstruction or obstacle. So there's kind of just a pliancy that's there. So these both, physical and mental, occur when the wind changes as a reaction to single-pointed concentration, calm abiding. And Rinpoche said, you cannot have true the shine yuna, the ludan sen shejang yubi chap. So you cannot have calm abiding without mental and physical pliancy. And if you have mental and physical pliancy, it means you have calm abiding. Does that answer? Lenjai Audu. Yes. Pass the mic. Who's got the mic? Microphone checker. This way. Katie's got a question.
I don't know if you need the mic or not.
What are we doing? What?
I have two questions. One is in compassion and love in Tibetan. Is there a word that brings in both of those? Because it's in English we have compassion and we have love.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering, that's the first question, is there one word in Tibetan that brings in, or is there a word that says both of those?
Okay.
That's more for you.
They're two distinct words.
Okay.
There's never. They mean two different things, because the mind of love is not necessarily have compassion. It causes compassion, but it doesn't mean that if you have love, you have compassion in Buddhism.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's not interchangeable, because love is wishing that beings have happiness. Compassion is wishing that they're free from suffering. Those are there's two different thoughts. Even though they seem similar, they aren't, because one's really a removal of something, and one's kind of a wish that they have something already. So they're just kind of they're different motivations, different kind of ways of thinking. The Shamba dang ninji kong chua de puke. Shamba dang ninji tsik ni. Inji ke tsik ni. Puyik tsik chi shamba dan ninji nyamdu yurube yomare. Gangin sene shamba dan ninji chipa yomare. Seni kakare. Seni dan soncha. Chipa yomare. So they're two different. The definition and definiendum are different. So the definition of love only fits love, and the definition of compassion only fits compassion. So love can't be defined by compassion's definition, and compassion's definition can't be defined by love's definition. So meaning that they're two separate entities, and they're not the same. Even though you can have love and compassion together, doesn't mean. But if you have Rinpoche, ninji yuna shamba yubi chap.
Ninji yuna shamba yubi.
Chap.
Yubi chago ayu.
Juje menga dun ngay sanlo dande. Dene the yine shamba yuna ninji yubi ma cha.
Shamba yuna ninji yubi ma cha.
Ma cha.
Shamba ninji yuro.
The ninji yuna shamba yubi cha.
Chare.
Okay, so if you have love, you don't necessarily have compassion. But if you have compassion, you necessarily have love. But it's not the same. It means you have both love and compassion if you have compassion. But if you have love, you don't have to have compassion, but you can have it. But to have love doesn't mean that you have to have compassion.
Okay. The second question
Okay.
is in one-pointed concentration, the meditation.
Yes.
Can you bring compassion to that at the same time? As you're one-pointed, I know you do this for the benefit of all beings, which would be compassion. But I'm saying that feeling of compassion, to bring that with the one-pointed concentration, if it's on an object or something.
Okay.
Can those both energies come together at the same time?
Contrua the tingenzi yuna the chikshena the shacha tupa the tingenzi mipa. Then the gonja. Then nyamdu ninji yong tugudue. Then tingenzi yuna the shacha tupa tingenzi mipa. The dut chipa ninji yunken yurebe. Shanchu semba. Then the yine the kon sanje tingenzi yuna sanlo yomare ninji sanlo yomare dene ninji kabiore kongitrua the gangisene the ngatsu tingenzi yuna the mikpa chik kuna shacha tupa then sanlo jenda yomare dene shanchu semba ninji yure dutsu de dene ninji kabiore nyamdu Chudang uma dan drapudue.
Nyadu mena and the Basha go to you, Lord Basha. Nubaji nedu nuba.
Yine the Shanchu Semba Tingenzi Gonja the Nyamdu Yurube the Sanlo Yomari Yine Pakcha?
Nyandu you can use it. Nyandu mena Basha you are Basha.
Okay. Then Nyamdu Yunken Kandre Gangin Sena the Chudang Uma dan drapudu Kandre Gangin Sena Konsu the Mikpa Shachatupa. Then Ninji Kandre Gangin Sena the Tingenzi Sanlo Chik Kuna. Then the Kashe Pakcha Kashe Nyamdu. Then Nyamdu you can the Kandre Sanlo Tramu Sheda Tramu.
No, the Sondel use it, Sondel. Sondel Nabanga Euro. So on to see about Ilaji the Rebango.
Intention.
Or and then the Bama Temba or the Sanju call you call. Sanju call.
Okay. So the Yure Yene. Okay. The Dumba Mupa Jemba Tingenzi Sherap.
What does it know?
The Dumba?
Duba second Duba the Bing of 20 years. The Karina 20 years San Lucilla Duba Duba.
The Ninji Dumba Drogodue. The Shanchu Semba the Tingenzi Gonja. The Ninji Kabiore. The Dunba? Mupa? Gare.
Maba second Duba the Taba to be Duba. The to be Duba. Duba Euro. Duba the Bing of 20 years. The Taba 20 years Shibashila Duba Duba.
The Ninji Gare. Kabiore Rinpoche.
He that the China have some little.
Hakogudu. Yune the Tingenzi Yuna. Then a Ninji Garid Pak Garid Drogudu. The Semjong?
Sanju Kotoba Yujiko. So on the Shishamba Ilashi the river, Duba the member Tingenzi. Or the San call your call.
Soa Dushe Semba Ripa Yila Yepa. Then a core, then a the nga Ninji Nyamdu? Jawa?
Yandu Dayo.
So it becomes part of a so what happens is when there are some who can simultaneously have compassion while having single-pointed concentration on the Buddha, but the compassion becomes a mental factor. It becomes present among the mental factors of feeling, discrimination, intention, contact, mental engagement. Are called omnipresent mental factors. So it becomes omnipresent, just like it saturates the event, but there's no analysis of may this being have free from suffering. There isn't that. It's just abiding in this form of an intention, if you will. That's just abiding there, but it's not engaging an object, because the object of engagement at that point is the single pointed object that one is focused on, of the Buddha. So it's not an object of engagement, if you will, but it's omnipresent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Katie's question? You mean, yeah, okay, cool.
Rinpoche, Jeff, so my question, this is out of my scope of understanding and practice, but I just
Me too.
I'm very interested in winds, drops, and channels. I just
Okay.
am, just being a health person.
Uh,
But my question is, just to clarify, if Rinpoche can just, I know that in the central channel, is it the white that comes from the top and red from the bottom, or is it inverse?
Rinpoche, the sawa, the nature lana me piju gonjana, then ngatsu the sawa eba nyumba, the ngatsu gonjado, then the kashe, the marpo, the drodu ngompo yongu. Marpo, toga, ngompo toga, kagi.
tāngā kālāṃ chibā mālāṃ nyantō nālāṃ saro. Tā shindā dūla, tō tibika.
The me mambo yure Rinpoche, lela bola.
Sen shindā chāwa dā lēyōng dū, tāngā kālāṃ mās. Tā mā kā wā dā khuā dā mā lēyōng dū, sen tāngā kāpa dā chāwa mā rō.
The gari, the ngatsu go, marpo?
Gō lī shāngsā kāma nī yu dā rō. Kāpa dā mā, umā dā mā jū yōng dū, sen lī tāngā kāpa dā chī nāngā mā rō. Tāngā kālāṃ bā. Tēnā nyatō chibā mālāṃ bā sōng dū, mā bā dā mā kā sāne nī yā jū yōng dū, mā lāṃ dā yōng mā rō. Nyatō tēnyin dō sōng dū yōng dū,
Nyamdu.
nā tōng dā chī rō mā rō, nyatō. Tēnā tē yō dō rō yō sē dā lī gō rō.
Then kon kadok. So you're wondering if the red descends and the white, and the blue descends? Ascension, descent, I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if the red and the white join at the mind, specifically at the time of death.
Rinpoche,
Is the red from the base and the white down at the heart chakra?
it sounds like it's both red at the top and bottom, but let me, Rinpoche, ngatsu go, the kadok kona gechishe, the leilabo gechishe. Marpo sanlodang, dang garpo, garpo kuna. Ngatsu go dan ni drogudu.
tāngā kālāṃ bā sōng dū kāpa kā nāwā yī sā rē.
Garpo.
Chibā mālāṃ bā sō mā bō.
The Chepa Malampa, the guy, Ngatsu, the Sawan Sacha,
Mā kā sāne dā bā lē,
Sane,
mā lē tō bī shāngsā dā yā jū yōng dū,
the Marpo,
mā bō chī tāngā bā rō.
Marpo. Then Ngatsu, the Ngama, the Garpo. Then they Nyamdusha.
Nyā dū nyatō,
Okay.
nā tōng dā chī rō bā rō.
So the white goes down. I can never ascends, descends. Ascend is up, right? Yes. Descend is down. Yes. So the white descends, and the red ascends, and they meet for clear light and turns into clear light.
Okay. To Chenmo.
But there's a name for each of those. The one for the descension and ascension, I don't know what the name of it is, but there's a name for those categories of the when it descends and ascends. Malam, kalam, I don't know what those words mean, but that's the name of the category of when those things occur.
Like I said, it's out of my scope of understanding.
So my question is just basically, I want to know like the definitions of compassion, and then can it really be effective without realization?
Okay, great question.
Thanks.
Ninji tseni sho?
이 전에 세계 동안도 저는 야베 실내지 생로도 니제 동안도 전화냐 봐.
Just double. So the definition is the wish that all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So that is the definition. So the wish that sentient beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So that's that. And then Rinpoche, the Triwa Nipa, why I'm looking this up, I know this for a fact. It's Triwa Nipa, the Dopa, the Nejopa, the Dopa Chenmo Mena, Ninji Pentogdue, Gangesena, the Ngushe Mena, Namchen Mena, Ninji Pentogdu, Gangesena Gatsu Hakogumare.
이제 배도 쉬어요.
Gaishene.
이제 동안도 전화냐 봐 니제로 니제.
Less.
또 그것도 쳐버렸어.
Less so. So it can be very effective in terms of generating virtue for the practitioner because of the power of such an action. It creates great virtue because of wishing for others to be free from suffering. That's a great power in that. So it causes great virtue.
So like the
And I asked it like, is it if someone who's not realized, they're limited, they're not omniscient, they're not clairvoyant, is it helpful? So that's how Rinpoche answered it, that their compassion is really about their advancement so that they can ultimately be helpful.
like it's kind of like the motivation to act upon. If you want like people, sentient beings to be happy, you use that as like your fuel to kind of do virtue and stuff like that. I don't know. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, it's
like you want
using
to be
that
happy,
as your
so you're not-
basis. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so
As your
If
basis.
you have compassion, you're not going to be stealing, killing.
Right.
Okay.
Why you're doing what you're doing
Right.
is so that beings have happiness. Yep,
Okay.
you got it.
Cool.
Yep. There's something else that I wanted to say. I'll think of it.
How does kindness relate to love and then to compassion?
Kindness. Hold on, give me 1 second. That's good, Rinpoche. Dictionary da. Nge la phone dictionary yere. He says, so why do they got to make this dictionary so small? Neither one of us are going to be able to read this word. The jin. Kajin Chenpo, jin. The jin. Jin dang shamba dan ninji chapagare. The jin. The Kajin Chenpo jin. The ngatsu the megar yina jesi okay shingo okay. The dang shamba dan ninji chapagare.
샤마도 니제 저도는 다들 건 주디 무시바 산다는 거와로다. 거와로.
Garigewa. Gewa garige.
다들 건 주디 무시바 임베저.
The Gewa tseni. Yene the Demba dang Shamba dang ninji Gewa?
샤마도 니제 거와.
Shamba dang ninji Gewa. Okay, so love and compassion are mutually exclusive. I know that's going to sound strange, but it means that there's ninji dan shamba Gewa. Okay, so ninji dan shamba Gewa, ninji dan jemba, jen, kajin chembo jimba, jen.
저도 장기가요. 거 말했어.
Musum.
아.
Chishena muji. Gangesena muji. Ngay samba muji.
이제 봐.
Ninji dang jimba. The jimba.
제발 니제 맞아.
Kajin chembo.
이제 있는 제발 맞아. 뭐지 이제 뭐지.
Jemba yena. Ninji yenba.
맞아.
Ninji yena. Jemba yembi macha. Muji.
뭐지.
Muji. Okay. My skills are still working. My muji musum skills are working still. It's in debate in Tibetan. Just real quickly, Detsku me sarpa kashe yure, the dasi dan musumushi gewa donchik, the dundagare detsu lagien. So in debate, they play this game, if you will. If you compare any two existent objects, you will always find they have one of four relationships. Either they have three possibilities with each other, and I'll explain that in a minute, four possibilities with each other. They are mutually exclusive or contradictory, meaning they have no common locus, or they are synonymous or one meaning. So any two things that you combine, you'll find that. So in order to define and understand phenomena in debate in the monastery, they use this as a shortcut, like to compare different phenomena, like we're doing right now. Love and compassion, are they three possibilities, four possibilities? Are they mutually exclusive, or are they synonymous? So that's what we're talking about right now. So love and compassion are mutually exclusive, but kindness and compassion are four possibilities. So you can have kindness without compassion. You can have compassion without kindness. You can have compassion and kindness, and you can have something which is neither, Rinpoche said. So he said there were four possibilities. I'm sorry? The Shamba Dang Jemba? Musa Mushi Gewa Donchik Chepagare. Shamba Dan Jemba Chipa. Muji. Chop, ma chop, nika yimba, ma yimba yuba. Re?
Yeah.
Then the chikshina, the shamba yimba, the jimba, ma yimba sho.
Shamba yema jema ma yema josana. Sija daje dawazan jana jema dema chuji jambe. Sanglo du. Jemba jai mare.
No mare. Then Jemba Yimba Shamba Mayimba?
Then I was going
Hey, Jemba Mambo do then the Shamba Yomare. Chishin and Ngul Gugudu. The Insunsan and Ngul you can Jimba. Okay, and then Nika Yimba? The Shamba Yuba Jimba. Less so. Okay, so if we were to compare those two, we would have four possibilities. So I asked Rinpoche to expose it, or to show those, what pervades what. It's called Kangla Kangi Kyap. It's called what pervades what. So if it is love, it is not necessarily kindness. And I said, so posit that. Rinpoche said, just the thought, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. There's no kindness there. There's a thought to be, but there isn't kindness being expressed. It's a kind thought, but there isn't kindness. There isn't something physically happening. So there's one pervasion. Then you can have kindness, being kind, without love. You could be kind to somebody because you want something, for instance. You could be very nice to someone and kind because they have money and you want their money. So there's no love there, but you're being kind to that person in terms of your actions are being kind. Something which is both is acting out of love, being kind to someone out of love. And something which is neither is a rabbit with horns is neither. So that's how you would look at. So that's how you come up with four, because you have, if A is there, B doesn't have to be there. If B's there, A doesn't have to be there. That's two doors. If you have something that's both A and B, and then you have something that's neither. But then you have some cases where if you have A, B's always there. But if you have B, A's not always there. There's something which is both and something which is neither. That would be three. So if one pervades the other, but not the other pervading the other, it's three. If you have a case where they don't have to pervade each other, but there's a case where they do, it's four. If one can't be without the other, it's synonymous. Like if you can't have is all that without the other, it's synonymous. And if you can't find something which is both, any example of something which is both, it's mutually exclusive. So it's a game, and it's so effective as I've learned how Buddhism is so full of information and full of outlines and stages, and it's so helpful to be able to just cut right through it and figure out how these words relate to each other. Sheda Selbudu Rinpoche, Tuchena. Any more questions? Triwa Mambodu.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought up the rabbit with horns, because your answer to Ted's question last week about the kind of magic Buddha rabbit.
Okay, sure.
Sounds to me like a rabbit with horns. I mean, that's because it sounds magical, that it's, something that's outside of the known physical laws of the universe, and I'll say known physical laws of the universe. But speak on it in terms of the Buddhist science, if you will. It doesn't sound like it's dependently originated. It sounds like it's granted intrinsic existence, because it sounds like it is a construct of the Buddha mind.
Okay, so slow down. So the way that an emanation occurs is that the Buddha has compassion, just like we have attachment and we get attached to stuff.
Yeah.
The Buddha, since however long, for 3 countless eons, developed this compassion and is forced to go help. So that's kind of when you say there's no dependent origination, there absolutely is. There's a sentient being with a need, and there's a Buddha that has this compassion that has to help all beings and is omniscient at the same time. So knows there's this being that needs help. So that compassion then, all that stuff dependently originates an emanation that is forced. The Buddha doesn't really have a choice, if you will. You can debate that, but most scholars would assert that a Buddha doesn't really have a choice but to go emanate and help if the conditions, if there's a karma that makes that sentient being somehow connect, the Buddha still works within karma. So the Buddha is forced to help. You know what I mean? Because the Buddha still works within karma. So if someone has a karmic connection to Buddha and needs help, the Buddha's karma forces him to emanate or her to emanate. So let's start there. So let's work from there.
Okay, so if we start there.
Okay, so it's not, so the Buddha, the way that with the rabbit with horns, a Buddha who is omniscient would say there's no rabbits with horns around, but there's a Buddha that can emanate as a rabbit.
With horns?
Well, it could, but they wouldn't, because there aren't rabbits with horns. The Buddha wouldn't operate outside of he would emanate into the world in a normal way to not be exposed as
wouldn't
something
or couldn't?
strange. Could.
That's so kind of the magic. Wouldn't or couldn't?
Rinpoche, Sanjay, true. Ribong ra true tudwe. Tene ribong ra masipa yomare. Ribong ra sipa. Yimbi sipa sheja.
Rugura Sigmaris.
Huh?
Sigmaris.
Ribong ra sip.
Ribon
Ribong ra yomare.
Ribomaris.
Okay, all right, yeah, he loses, I lose every time. It's not, even if a Buddha emanated a rabbit with horns, it's not a rabbit with horns, it's a Buddha. So, we have that.
So it's almost like you're saying omniscient and omnipotent. Then,
No omnipotent.
Because it's not
Can't
a real
change
rabbit with horns, so
anything.
it's still
Under the influence of karma. Can't go help someone who doesn't have the karma to be helped. Buddha can't just go, if for instance, I don't have the karma to be helped, but I'm in trouble, the Buddha can't come help me because there's no connection. There's no karma. The Buddha has compassion, but there's something there that has to be connected karmically. The Buddha is not omnipotent. The Buddha can't change my karma.
Right.
You know what I mean? Can't manifest something that would change my karma. Could make a rabbit with horns appear in front of me, but that wouldn't necessarily change my karma. I would still experience suffering, and you know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know if that helps.
I'll think about it more this week.
Cool.
Come back next week with my next question.
And then we'll hear, and then in the back, gentlemen.
Okay. Just a translation question first. Knowledge and wisdom, is that 2 Tibetan words?
It's Sheraptan Ripa Chapagare.
Sherod.
Sherab Ripa.
Sure.
Sherod riba gewa yinjire.
Wisdom, they're mutually exclusive. Somehow, wisdom and knowledge are mutually exclusive. Why? Nika yimba yure ripa dang sherab. Doni dopi sherab. The doni dopi shera ripa yin shera yin. Yamaribe.
Tuni do shira.
Ripa yimba nika yimba yure dein sunsan gyawa yomare.
Riba de shira.
We're maybe changing our answer. We're working on it right now. Because I was saying that if you have the wisdom, I'm positing the wisdom realizing emptiness is knowledge and wisdom. That's what just stopped the wheels. The cog. I threw the cog. So the Ripa Yuna. What's the definition of Ripa? Ripa Tseni? Ripa Tseni gare. Jason. We have to also look at how they are defining knowledge and they are defining wisdom. So I just asked what the definition of knowledge is, of Ripa. I know it's in the low rig, but it would take me a minute to find. I don't think we have that time. But, oh, wait. Maybe I could find it here. That's knower. That's more of a... See, that's where we're running into it. Ripa is more of a knower than a knowledge. I think the way we would define knowledge as a Westerner, if we look at what we think knowledge is and what wisdom is, I think they definitely... Would they be synonymous? It would depend. If you're defining wisdom as just knowing something, depends on how you're defining wisdom. Right. You know what I mean? If you're defining wisdom as this higher kind of wisdom, then you can have knowledge about how to fix a car, but not have wisdom. So it really depends on if wisdom is defined as wisdom realizing emptiness. So it depends on how we're as a Westerner, we're using these words, wisdom and knowledge. I guess first I'd have to say, how are we defining that? And then ask Rinpoche that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that might not be the word. It might be a different word in Tibetan for what we're saying then,
Okay.
and that's what's messing it up.
Okay, so in Tibetan there are two words.
Because a knower and... Yeah, that makes sense. A knower. Wisdom. Is it about this?
Knowledge.
Yeah, that's not right either. That's a known phenomenon, an object of existence, sheja. This is the problem. You know what I mean? Like, we aren't here yet with Tibetan. Mm-hmm. So, like right here, I have a dictionary in front of me. They have the word knowledge, and then they have the word for object of comprehension.
Okay.
So, sheja. Sheja dang shera? Musum. So there's three possibilities between this kind of knowledge and wisdom.
Okay.
Okay, so Kangla Kangi Kyap. Thank you. This is helpful. Shera dang sheja. Sheja. So if it is wisdom, it's necessarily knowledge. And if it's knowledge, it's not necessarily wisdom.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Sho. Mayimba sho. So you could say the subject form. The subject form is knowledge, because it's sheja. It's an object of knowledge, really, because that's what sheja is, object of comprehension. It's in the first thing I studied every day in Drepung over and over. So I promise it's object of knowledge. So you could say form is an object of knowledge, but is not wisdom.
Right. Okay.
And then something nika yimba le labadu sho sheja dang shera doni dupi shera
Nika yimba.
nika yimba doni dupi shera
Me juicy don't do shira juice.
me doni dupi shera.
Melt shira don't do shira euro. What the juice?
So the wisdom, the human's wisdom realizing emptiness would be wisdom and knowledge.
Okay.
Object of comprehension, because it is an object of comprehension. It's
Okay.
something can be comprehended.
Okay.
And something which is neither. What are we doing? Knowledge in neither. Rabbit with horns again.
Right.
Yeah. Something
Okay.
that doesn't exist.
And then one more question.
Sure. Thank you.
The text, page 85, under the marks associated with attention, number 2.
85. Where is my book? Yeah, that got confusing. I know where you're talking about. I don't know if I'm going to help you.
Well, I'm
Because
just...
I was confused by it reading it in the Tibetan. So we'll
well,
try.
let me just ask.
Maybe it'll help.
So, number 2, the ability to purify
There it is.
afflictions, either by the means of the path bearing the aspects of calm and coarseness, or the path bearing the aspects of the
Yeah,
truths.
I didn't have
so the
any-
truths is the 4 truths, but the bearing the aspects of calmness and coarseness. What is that? What does that mean?
I have no idea. That's what I had no idea about. Hold on. 543. Detsko. Le labio mare. 543 starts there. Nipa, the marks. Nipa la ije dang. Okay. Gandang. Share. Pretty sure you have achieved these marks. Rinpoche. I'll just give him my book. Ewa nga yure. Rinpoche. Oh man, I know how Robert Plant feels. All right. The nipa. Then the ewa nga yure nangla. The ewa the nipa the donda gare the nipa the gang ngenji keda
Iba yira shiba never done.
the nyonmong. Yeah, the nipa the nyonmong pamba nyonmong dapa nip the tambo nipa nyonmong dapa kabiare the nangla yure. Chishina the nangla yure. The nyomong.
Naba Joala, Nebata, Deba Joa Nas, not to Naba Java Na, no one listen to Jamba, Joan Joa, Debala, Debala Subi, Dibanga, Pitcher Majoata, Naja Le Lambit, Le Jean Garret
The Deepa Nga Ngama Rinpoche. The Deepa Nga Ngama. The Kongi Triwa. The Gare. The
Shira.
The Nyonmong Dapa. The Nangla Nyom Nipa. Tambo. The achievement in small measure 4. The Tambo. The Sem. Zukan. Ludan Sem. Shiejang Dang Tingenzi. Tambo. Nipa. The nyomon dapa, the donda, the lam, the denba, dang domba, the kangalo rolang, nipa.
Niba Hila Shiba, Debi Tan, Hanta Dena, Yetubawu.
Okay.
She Hanta Yenji, Ribasha Tatan Samana, Tatabu Tuba de Zuji, Se Dube, Saint dans le dans chien de Jamba dans Saint-Zijiba, Jibo, Chontoba dans Shiraji, Nabaji, Na, Dembe, Nabaji, Lanji,
There,
Yomoba, Nabrashon,
there, lanji nyomo, the dondagare.
Lanji, Yomoba, Nabajonas, Takante, what the Tony to Belanta, and a gondula, Yomol Nuno, ended that.
Okay.
The Yomo Nabajon was what they Aba Jungwa.
Dene de Shiva dang Rapa de Dondagare de Nipa de Lam Shiva de Puik de Shiva dang Rapa de Nipa de Kanga de Yanjer Lodronang de Nyomong Dapa.
Shirazna ne sen roro jizan tambadala raba. Shi tabu jizan tambadala shibala.
Okay, de Kali Yanjer Suranang. De Yanjer Suranang de Shiva dang Rapa Dondagare.
Raba sana sen lo de de kalsogurata. Chi mombo chimuro de san tambadala raba.
Okay.
Shiba sana ane chungo de san tambadiro.
The Nika Lam Ni Shiva dan Rap. The Nicha Nyomong Dapa.
Mebala meba raba dan kanko mala meba shiwas. What the present the
Okay. So the coarseness and subtleness is referring to the wisdom realizing emptiness. The aspects of the truths is the aspects of truth. The aspects of the truth of things are not truly established. And Rinpoche said these coarse and the calmness and coarseness is related to that. And then he said some things I didn't understand because it sounds quite complicated. But this is, Rinpoche said, once this have this wisdom realizing emptiness, it purifies the afflictions. And it says, by means of the path-bearing aspects of calmness and coarseness, or the path-bearing the aspects of truth. Either, then, Rinpoche, the Shivadan Rapa, I think that's all we're going to get.
Okay.
I think my vocabulary is running into a wall, and I think we're just going to turn tires.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
The gentleman in the back, and then here, and then we'll end class.
Hello. Firstly, just thank you for welcoming us. First
Thanks for
off,
coming.
appreciate it. And second, so if this question,
Sarpa, then gapudu tu chena. I was just telling what you said.
yeah. If this question, like, since we're new, I could be repeating a question you guys have asked in the
No
past.
worries. Yeah, no questions wrong. Just ask.
So, on page 84 of the English version, like, it was talking about when physical and mental pliancy are achieved.
Yes.
That's accompanied by great delight and
Yes.
pleasure, right?
Yes.
And that shadow-like pliancy eventually occurs after the feelings of delight and pleasure. So
kind of comes down. You kind of have that delight, and you're kind of almost distracted by it.
Yeah.
Because it's a result of the physical and mental pliancy occurring. It's this bliss occurs. Then the practitioner kind of like comes down and utilizes it, and that's what it means, kind of by shadow. You still have it, but you're using it as a path. Well, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So I was gonna ask, what was meant by shadow-like pliancy, and
means you still have it, but it's not in the forefront.
It's like just sort
present,
of what you said,
like omnipresent almost.
Like the compassion, like it's just encompassing.
Yes, sir.
And so, the delight and sense of bliss, like when one is like going down the path, like through the desire to achieve liberation, like it's very easy to be distracted by like delight and all that. How does one negate that, or like?
I see what you're saying. Then the becha the tingenzi lu dan sen shijang yana then dewa chembo yongdu then ngatsu the lo dan sen dewa chembo then the gats debts new then ngatsu the mingare the dan drabudu ngatsu lu dan sen shijang the chima dan drabudu the yure yene dewa chembo dakpar yomare then tingenzi yapo yongudu den yongudu and kong chiwa ngatsu leka gari na kardro mardro the mikpa ninjepo mom the jemen ninjepo yure bu ninjepo yure mota ninjepo yure dine sansan kali kabudu gangin sina ngatsu the gabudu ngatsu tsampa the ngatsu sem chipudu ngatsu mota de yuna sem chipudu dine ngatsu des mota zingadu then nyepo gare Rinpoche nyepo the ngatsu the Pardro, Mardro, Mota Mambo Dagadu, Mota Sarpa, Gom Chembo, Kamba Chembo, Gom Chembo, then Ngatsu Zingadu, Ngatsu Sheda Gabudu, Nga de Yuna, Dewa Chembo Yongore, Nyepo Gare, De Ducha Nyepo Gare, Dadzin Nyepo Gare, Tenzin, Dadzin. Lesso. Kamba mitapa dang dene the jemen dang bu ninjepo mitapa dene the midupa gon pen togdue dene the
matapa the madupa dang
leso
odin dang digro
dene the dadzin chembo the dendel gon ben togdue okay. So there is a very, first of all, you could apply antidotes to specific things. So as you go through life and you have attachments arise or you grasp at certain things, many examples were given of a nice car, a nice house, a nice partner, a nice girlfriend, a nice boyfriend, I gave a million examples to Rinpoche about things that bring us happiness and that, might not really bring us happiness. And he said that you can take each of those individual objects and apply an antidote to each of those individual objects. So for instance, if you look at a significant other and you're very attached, for instance, to bodily form, then you can recognize the impermanence of the reality of the situation. Start to look at the momentary disintegration that is actually occurring, and that the object of observation of our attachment isn't really as we see it. And we start to look at its aspects as in the ugliness and coarseness that they really are, of a human full of skeletal material, pus and blood, that we then turn into something that isn't that. So then you start to analyze things about, we call it analyzation of ugliness, meaning the coarseness, the reality of how each and everything really is, as opposed to how we project things onto it. Like this beautiful car that we project this wonderfulness to it is going to get old, is going to break. There's one that's more expensive. Someone thinks it's a piece of junk because their car is $20,000 more, so it doesn't have any essence of good whatsoever in it anyway. So you're attaching things that aren't real to it. So the Rinpoche said that would be the ultimate way. You can apply antidotes to specific things, but if you apply the overall antidote of understanding dependent origination and understanding that nothing is inherently existent, nothing is this or that in a static way, it only comes into being through dependent origination, through a series of causes and effects, events and things and projections. All these things come together and make it this or that. But there is no this or that independently sits there that we're attached to. So the knowledge of what's really there in terms of the dependent origination is the ultimate antidote. But you can also apply individual antidotes. There's something really blaringly loud that you need to kind of deal with in order to look at the kind of macro picture.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And the shadow, as Rinpoche said, it's always there. It's something that's kind of like the bodhicitta. It's there, but the meditation is then brought down and not distracted by this, but it's present, but it's not forefront present. That meaning it's shadow. It's not present. It's shadowing. But there. All right. Last question here, real quick, and then we're gonna go.
when we were discussing knowledge and wisdom, I had a question come up about, are there any English words that truly have a clear, universal, operational definition?
Universal? No,
Well, if it's yes,
English
because-
word, I can't ask Rinpoche if there's a universal English word because
Well, when in translation, because that would be the universal part of it. So
there's no such thing as a would a universal? I don't know what you mean.
a
Like,
word that would translate from English into Tibetan or any other language that doesn't change. Because if we don't have
No.
words that mean the same thing to us in the English language, are there any words that translate without confusion?
No.
No.
There's no such thing. All words are just, we're trying to make a word from a word. We have a word that kind of means something in Tibetan, and then we try to find an equivalent. Rinpoche, it's the NGK, the Trinyon, the NGK dang Sandrake dang Puke, Sik, Chi, Chipa Yurabe, Yomare. The Rawang Sikh. The Gangan Sena the Hindu Kashe Om. Om the Dakpar Om Yure. The Om the Dakpar Sikh. The Puke, the Nampichu, the Yoruba.
Drapo is
The Drapo Garishane. Gari Drapo. The Om. So the only thing that might be is the Om, the syllable Om. Because so it refers to body, speech, and mind. So that's the only thing that in the Hindu tradition it's considered an eternal sound that's always occurring. And that's how I asked the question to Rinpoche about, that was the only thing that I could come up with that would even relate to that. And he said that maybe in a similar way, but not the same meaning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. But Om's not really an English word, but we do use it. So it's Sanskrit, and Tibetans use it. It's interesting. Pali Om Yurube. Pali, Sandrake Om. Then Pali has Om also. Pali and Sanskrit. What about gibberish, though? Do they have Om? The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra as well. With whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors who traverse the three times, I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All-powerful Avalokiteshvara Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, the spiritual friend who trains extensively in the 5 great philosophical texts, with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Tuji Rinpoche Guti Shapi Denrona, Natsu Lamrim Chemo Kanga Chirona, Tearing Sheda Selbudu.